more Western Digital discussion, Audacity's change in privacy information gathering, and Smile's sale of PDFpen Pro to Nitro. This is MacVoices. Today's MacVoices is supported by MacVoices After Dark. Uncensored, off-topic, and always off the wall. MacVoices After Dark is available as a benefit to our Patreon subscribers. Sign up at patreon.com/MacVoices. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, this is part 2 of a MacVoices live discussion as we get back to our regular recording schedule. We started off by talking about the Western Digital situation and the data loss that some of their cloud-enabled drives sustained, and exactly whose fault this was and what should or shouldn't have been done. The panel had a great deal to say about it, and so we continue that part of the discussion here. Then we shift over into the issues surrounding Audacity's change in their information gathering policies. So let's go back and let the panel do the talking.
Right. I would just as a closing comment, this is not the first consumer NAS device that's been targeted. Back around 2016, 2015, there were a whole bunch, just as Bitcoin mining became popular, there were a whole bunch of exploits that were targeting Synology NAS devices, for exactly the same reason. They're out there, they're in volume, they're easy to find, they have holes, they have exploits. So what better thing to do than use somebody else's computer to go and mine for Bitcoin? And this is not, undoubtedly, this is not going to be the last such device we're having. There's all sorts of security problems around HP printers and how they do firmware upgrades. So again, my message to everybody is be very careful about the devices that you provide exposure to the public internet to.
Yeah. I want to make sure that I acknowledge the chat room. They're kind of throwing in different comments. Dave Ginsburg, who is floating on a boat somewhere and was not able to join us tonight, says hard drives.
Here, Dave.
Yeah, I know. But he's saying hard drives will always fail. Western Digital has no excuses for that happening. None. Eric agreed with him. Eric says he's an Open Media Vault fan, that he just set up a NAS with a Pi and has a hard drive enclosure. And Eric also makes the point, and okay, you're not wrong, Eric. Western Digital were the professionals. Can't trust anyone too much. Yeah. Fair point. I
mean, that used to be sort of a default because they were one of the first in the consumer market to sell a hard drive with a USB cord out the back that you could just plug into the side of your computer and move on with your day and just have extra hard drive space. Like, they were one of the first in that arena, and that used to be a pretty safe default recommendation. If somebody asked, my computer's out of space, like, should I get one of those newfangled external hard drives I've heard so much about? Yeah, go buy as much Western Digital as you can afford. Like, that used to be a pretty solid recommendation. I don't know how reasonable a recommendation that is anymore. I will point out, yes, this is something about networking. This didn't have anything to do with the quality of the drives themselves. That's not what's at issue here.
It's only a matter of time before those old trusted products get sold off to another company
that really doesn't care. Yeah.
And for local storage, I don't see anything wrong with Western Digital products.
No, all drives are going to break. It doesn't matter. They're all going to break at some point.
Yeah, this isn't anything to do with the reliability of the platter in the box.
I actually find it funny that Apple is saying, a 7-year-old drive might die. I mean,
yeah,
that's true of any 7-year-old. I don't even understand why they're saying it. What's the difference between a 7-year-old Mac with the same hard drive in it, or a 7-year-old or a hard drive in any device compared to a time machine? It's time. I don't think any drive is guaranteed to last more than a certain amount of time after its warranty.
No.
Some of that, Warren, is spin. And no, scratch that. It's an education to the non-technical people out there who may have been bitten by this bug, or the less technical people, that we have to recognize that spinning hard drives definitely are going to die at some point.
That's not a bug.
When they say
that's how they're designed. I mean, it's platters, and they just don't last. They're not designed to last forever. So
when they say that the only things guaranteed in life are death and taxes, they're including the death of hard drives.
Yes.
Yeah.
However, it makes me uncomfortable because when people say, "Oh, I want to use a backup drive, what should I use?" I like being able to list off the main brands that have been mostly reliable, and I don't want to have to give a caveat, except there's kind of irresponsible when it comes to your data online. So definitely don't do that part of it.
No,
I
don't
give
a recommendation. Yeah, I just say it doesn't matter what you back it up. Just have it in two places. It could be on,
in 3 places.
Two $10 drives.
But people pay me money to do that.
Yeah, I mean,
so I have to.
If you buy a car, you got to pay money to get gas.
I'm going to have to go. So
okay. Hey, thanks for stopping by, Mark. Good to see you.
Okay, good to see you.
Bring us some beer next time.
And I'll catch the second half of this, when Chuck releases the conversation in a few days.
Great. Thanks for being here, Mark.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.
Good night, Mark.
So Mark Fuccio exits, and in comes Jim Ray. Jim, welcome. Good to have you.
It's good to be off the freeway.
Mark, you look so weird.
I look weird?
Your green screen's weird.
More so than usual.
Yeah, I don't know what it's doing.
No, she said, Jim, it was a joke because you came in as Mark was leaving. It was a joke. Yeah.
Hey, Jim, you have to answer the question that we all answered. What's your take on In-N-Out?
I didn't, for the record.
The burger?
In-N-Out burger. In-N-Out burger, to be very clear.
The lines are way too long.
Yes.
That is fair.
That's a fair statement.
Which is a testament to quality.
It's a testament to overratedness.
I never know. I don't want to wait.
It's gullibility.
So the second story I wanted to move on to, because again, we have a little bit of limited time here tonight. And this is what I want Andrew to take the lead on, because I don't know quite how I feel about this. The Audacity story where the privacy notifications changed, or the terms changed, and boy, the internet jumped all over it. And Audacity, I mean, because many of us here are podcasters and have shows in our own right, Audacity may or may not be part of your workflow, but I know a lot of podcasters where Audacity is part of the workflow. So it's very relevant to this community, but I think it's also relevant to the larger Mac community. Andrew, what was your spin on this? How did you see it?
Yeah, so Kelly and I talked about this on Friday, and off the top of my head, they got bought out by someone, and all of a sudden the new privacy policy said, we may collect some of your information for like law enforcement or government purposes, which is crazy.
Wow.
But another thing, I think the important thing we talked about is it's open source. So someone is probably going to fork it and, make their own kind of offshoot project of it without that kind of data collection. So I still have hopes for this kind of software.
Okay, so at least two people in the chat room are saying Audacity did no wrong. One of them even said, "Fight me."
I've heard it's the pot stirrer. What do you expect him to say?
Yeah,
I will point out that is also the person who gave us a bunch of feedback about the show when we talked about it on Friday. So go ahead.
And he also said terrible things about In-N-Out Burger.
Yes.
There was also that.
Yeah, he has a bad In-N-Out Burger take. So, like the size of a grain of salt you're about to put on his opinion
aside
is
from
up to
his
you.
keynote opinions, anyway.
So
I'm excited to hear Jay's take on this, because I want to see how close it is to mine.
Yeah, I agree, Jeff.
So
Go, Jay.
Audacity being bought by a company. The company has a responsibility of things that it has to do. They exposed that information to the open source community. The open source community said, that's fine. We have problems with this. Audacity said, that's fine. We will look into these problems. They made corrections. They made adjustments. The open source community of maintainers, the people that were working on the code, said, I think this is a good medium that we can come to an agreement on. And the people who do not work on the code, the people who did not start yelling until people in the news started yelling, said, horrible terms of services changes, privacy implications, all of these things. The company that bought Audacity went through the steps that I would ask any person that is acquiring open source software to do. Reach out to the community, say, here are the proposed changes. We will give you time to make your case. They gave them time. They read the comments. They made the changes. And then all of a sudden, the people that they knew were going to jump onto this, because anytime you say, we've changed our terms and services, there are going to be people who just go, oh dear, I wonder what data they're collecting on me now. The update that they provided that requires your information is so that you can have a modern updating experience. So just like when you open your applications and they go, hey, you've got to update, you kind of need to update this. It's going to make these changes. There's a reason why when you use Audacity in the past, you didn't get that. So in order for them to do these things, they need information. They have to have that information from you. And it's your decision whether or not you're going to trust the company with that information or not. If you don't trust them, don't install the application. They're trying to make their product more modern. They're trying to make it so that it's worth their investment. At the same time, I get it. People get mad when you start futzing around with contracts. I blame the lawyers. Let's all just blame the lawyers, but we need to stop blaming Audacity for this, or the people that bought Audacity.
Jay.
So how do you really feel,
man?
Jay?
Since it's open source, I assume it's clear what information they're collecting.
It is. And it was clear when they said, this is why we're changing it. This is why we're changing our terms of service. Mm-hmm. This is why we need the data that we need. Some of it was to remain compliant with the government. Others was legitimately to update the information. And they actually do something in their code that I wish more companies would do. They said, we need this code for this amount of time, or we need this information for this amount of time. When we no longer need it, it will be destroyed.
What do they need beyond the version that you're running and maybe the operating system version you're running?
That's all they were wanting to collect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very little.
Yeah.
Wow,
but anytime you go from collecting no information to collecting any information, there are going to be people who screech about it.
Well, people got freaked out about the whole FBI thing.
Someone got stabbed over this.
Really?
Okay, that I did not.
They literally threatened to stab somebody and said, like, hey, you need to like change. You need to step down as a maintainer of this project because, and I mean, again, it was the internet doing what the internet does, sensationalizing a problem. Someone said, we better fork this. We're going to change the name. And people said, I don't like your name change. I'm going to stab you. Like, what? Why are we following this? Why are we giving this attention?
Okay, so I think there's one other thing in here that that became fuel for this fire that we're dealing with now. And it comes down to one word, and that word is Russia. As soon as the company that controls Audacity now was linked to Russia, people flipped out. And just because you are a software developer in Russia or a company that manages software that has a headquarters in Russia, that does not necessarily mean that you're the bad guy and that you're going to use your software to steal all the state secrets that Andrew has on his computer.
Okay, so one thing I want to ask you, or I'm not sure who, but Jay, I'll go for you, and then somebody can jump in. So clarify for us. You're talking about the Audacity is open source, yet this company bought Audacity. So how does that work? I mean, if it's open source, can't
up-to-date
that be taken and forked and they can run with it? But isn't the base open source code still there?
Someone owns if I create code, actually all the code that I usually write, I open source. So someone can take my idea and say, I'm going to make that too. Someone can make diversityorgs.tech. They can copy my website. They can remake render engine. That's all fine. Like, do those things. I encourage you to, because I can't devote 100% of my time doing that. However, a company can still come to me and say, hey, we like what you've written. We want to buy it from you, and now we're going to sell it. Now, why would they do that versus making their own? It depends. Not all open source code is free. Not all open source code is licensed the way you want it to be licensed. I can make code and say, hey, it's free for you to look at the code. It's free for you to take inspiration of the code. You can even make your own version of this and sell it for yourself. I still have the ability to sell it under the brand Audacity. What they probably purchased were trademarks of like, hey, this is Audacity. If you want to make your own and call it Faudacity, or I think they were going to name it Tenacity, and that was the thing that people got mad about and started pulling shibs. Like, call it whatever you want, but in terms of the product Audacity, in terms of all the assets, the website, the mailing list that people probably sign up for when they download it, and all this other stuff, that's what they're buying from the maintainers of the program.
The Audacity website is where I would send people who wanted audio software that was cheap. Like,
I'll still send them
the lab that I did my grad work in, for example.
Until another company, comes up, with one that becomes popular, which is what.
Well, they would have to come up with something that's reliable and free and cross-platform, which is why people like it. Like, it doesn't matter what computer I have at home. If I ask Brittany what audio editor to install on my computer, she can say Audacity and I can go get it and install it. She doesn't have to know I have a Mac or that
it's open source, right? So I could just take the source and call it something else and post it as something else.
Yeah, they even encourage you to do that.
Sklardacity.
Right. I can make Sklardacity and brand,
and that would be fun.
Exactly the same. Yeah, but okay.
But they've even said that. They've said if you don't like these, clone it and build your own.
The reason we needed a cross-platform one in our laboratory was because we had to put in, like, in the methods section for research, you have to say what audio program you're using to edit, like if you want to be really thorough. Mm-hmm. And so we had to document it. And if it was going to be this one on a Mac and this one on a PC, suddenly, like, that's getting a little bit unwieldy. Mm-hmm. And also, labs don't have a lot of money. So, so we went with that Audacity, and that was a recommendation. And so, the name matters a lot.
Guys, we're running really short on time. There was one other story I just want to touch on very briefly, almost just as an acknowledgement, especially since I had Angel Vu from Smile. Well, she was from Smile then on the show right before I went on vacation. And actually, I had it all queued up and it published while I was away. That Smile sold PDFpen to Nitro. Yeah. And so now it's a Nitro app. And we'll see where it goes. I mean, it was, I think, a surprise to everybody here. Nobody knew that anything was going to be sold, but, that's the way it goes. So, and it's a utility I use regularly. So I wish it well and hope it continues to develop exactly the same way, or even more so under Nitro. Any thoughts on the PDFpen sale?
From what I read, they said PDFpen is still flying off the shelves. So they sort of, Smile is also doing gangbusters, as I understand it, with Text Expander. Mm-hmm. And they just sort of basically decided to put all their eggs in one basket. PDFpen no longer, I guess, was bringing as much in as Text Expander, from what I understand. But it was still doing profitable enough that they could sell it at a high price. And the people that bought it are saying they're not going to change the name. They're not going to change anything the way that it works. But pretty much, since it's working, it's like, no, we just want to own it now. Now, that's what they're saying. I don't know if that'll follow through. But they might make one or two changes. But basically, they're saying No, we just wanted to buy something that's been proven. They didn't want it anymore. We can make the money, sure.
No, that's great. That's great.
PDFpen does remind me a lot of Text Expander. Full disclosure, I used to work for Smile Software. It reminds me a lot of it in that there are basic tools that come as part of Mac OS that you can use to do things with PDFs. There are basic tools that come with Mac OS and with iOS that you can use to type a short bit of text and have it turn into a larger bit of text. Those are things that both of them do that they have in common. But if you have a specific need to create a lot of PDFs and you don't want to pay Adobe's subscription fees, you can buy a PDFpen license and you can use that and be done. And the like Text Expander is the same sort of thing. Like if you need a basic level of utility, you can do the thing and try to get by. But if you need to do things regularly, like there's a whole lot of utility in PDFpen that I think a whole lot more than I think a lot of people realize. And so I'm glad that it's going to continue. And if it was a matter of like we old yell our PDFpen or we sell it to Nitro, like I'm glad they sold it, because there's definitely a sweet spot for somebody who needs the kind of utility you can get out of PDFpen, who doesn't need the overkill of like Acrobat and the bloat of Acrobat. Like I don't need to be able to do anything with my PDF that has anything to do with Illustrator, or has anything to do with InDesign, or any of that kind of stuff. Like sometimes I just need to take one and fill it out and send it back or whatever. Or I need to create a nice looking form. And like sometimes it's hard to do that if you don't have a specific utility. And so that's part of why I'm glad that it got sold, because if the alternative was, it goes away forever, I don't want that to happen either. So I'm going to be interested to see what happens to it at this point, because I
had the impression that Nitro came to them and made them an offer they couldn't refuse. I'm not sure.
Did they talk like this at the time?
Yeah, I really want people to start making me offers I can't refuse. That'd be awesome. Thanks.
I thought we were friends.
Oh, brother. Guys, we got to get out of here.
If anybody's watching, I will definitely sell Panorama for $6 million.
Okay, that's good to know.
Thank you, Jim.
I think you're
how many In-N-Out burgers is that?
4. $6 million. What do you want? I'll make it happen. Well,
go for it. How many cattle?
How many cattle do you have, Frank?
Or in the apartment? Oh, it's just, I think it's $100 per head
in the apartment.
Actual cattle, not just the smell.
The one
well,
question
I also had to pay for maintenance to pick up after the cattle. So
I know we have to go, but I do wonder, like, Nitro already has a PDF product, right? So
for Windows.
Is this just going to be the Mac version of Nitro or Nitro PDF, and then from there
they said they weren't even going to change the name?
Oh well, I mean, that's probably smart for them.
Maybe I'll change the Windows name to this one.
PDFpen.
Yeah.
That would actually be a smart move, because PDFpen has good name recognition.
Yeah. Webb in the chat room says, I use PDFpen Pro every day. With the sale, I do worry if it will lose its mojo, but I won't panic and look for a replacement. I agree.
Not
I don't
yet.
There's no reason to panic. It might not be a bad idea necessarily to research things.
No,
just because.
Panic is a different software company.
Oh, jeez. All right. On that note, we're going to wrap this up because we got to go. But I will go around and I'll ask everyone to give us an abbreviated version of where we can find them when they're not here, and then we'll be back to a more, hopefully. Well, I was about to say a more normal Mac Voices live, but these are never normal.
This was
by normal, you mean longer.
Yeah.
Small in.
So I'm going to reverse the order this time and start with Jay, at least because the screen's been jumping around as usual. So, Jay, where can folks find you?
You can listen to me on my new show on relay.fm. That is Conduit, the show that's all about productivity from a personal standpoint. No gimmicks, no app chatter. Well, little app chatter, but mostly us just celebrating people doing their thing. That's relay.fm/conduit, like the thing you have on the side of your house.
Awesome artwork for your new show. I love the logo.
Congratulations, Jay. I'm so excited.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, I got to play catch up and check this out, Jay. But thanks for being here. Appreciate
First
it.
episode will be
starting our
out after
podcast.
this is probably released. So check it out.
Jim Ray, thank you for coming in. I know you've got a lot of other priorities right now, but thank you for sliding us into your list. Where can folks find you?
Apparently on the 605 freeway. But other than that, at proview.com or ProviewJim on Twitter.
Great. Thank you, Jim. Mrs. Brittany, where can folks find you?
Hey, I'm happy to be back, Chuck. And people can find me at conquer.consulting. And thanks to listeners here, ADD Liberator on YouTube, in addition to Twitter.
Hey, congratulations. Thanks, everybody, for supporting Brittany.
Thank you.
Mr. Orr, where can folks find you?
Hey, you can find me writing for the Mac Observer, macobserver.com. I write about Apple privacy security, and as of about a month and a half ago, cryptocurrency. So you can also find my views on that.
All right. Cool. We'll have to bring that up when we have more time to delve into it. Warren Sklar, thank you for showing up. Where can we folks find you folks? Sorry.
That's all right. If you could stomach Facebook, I do a Back to the Future Facebook group with a few other people who do that. It's kind of fun. If you only do Facebook for that, do it. Your day will be better. I do sometimes I do the show, and sometimes I'm on a show with Guy and Dave with the Match to the Future live cast. Guy, I will not be there tomorrow. My son has a school thing I have to do.
That's okay. I might not be there tomorrow either, which would make it 3 weeks in a row that we haven't.
I think Ginsburg is on a boat somewhere, so who I don't know what he's doing either. And then Thursday, Dave and I do
In Touch with iOS.
That's it. Yeah.
Great, thank you. So, Guy, it sounds like Warren is challenging people to come to Facebook and listen to a show that may not be happening.
Yeah, it may not be going up. Like I said, I got a new desk coming. I'm going to be ripping everything apart here, and I don't know what's going to be working and what won't be working by the time I'm done. VertShark.com is the website. VertShark is the playlist over there on YouTube. Mac to the Future is the live cast on Wednesday nights sometimes. MyMac.com podcast is the one I do with Gaz every single week for over 11 years now. And finally, Guy's Daily Drive, where I sit in my car and just pontificate about things while barreling down the road at breakneck speeds, because that's just what I do.
Okay. Good luck. That's all I can say. Good luck.
I'm not dead yet.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Life choices.
Early yet.
Jeff Gamet, where can folks find you?
They can find. Wait, actually, I just had a thought. Why do we change the prefix for women's names when they get married, but not for men?
You won't for me because I've always been Ms.
Is there an answer?
Awesome.
Or is this hypothetical?
Mostly we've moved to Ms, I think.
There
I
is
mean,
an
the
answer.
Ms. versus Mrs. thing just seems so
Ms.
weird
Yule?
to me.
It could be MSR instead of MRS.
MSR. Okay, let's roll.
Ms.
with it.
Yule.
I think that's something different.
Misery.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyhow, so you can find me on Twitter and Instagram, Jay Gamet, both places, and my YouTube channel, youtube.com/JGamet, and all the other podcasts. Google me, I'm easy to find.
Great. Thank you, Jeff.
Yes.
Kelly.
Oh, it's my
Go.
turn.
Go.
Okay. You can find me 5 days a week over at themacobserver.com, where I host the Daily Observations podcast. You can also find me over at The Incomparable, where I talk about various things, but specifically, I also show up on my own program there. I Want My MCU TV, where we talk about the latest Marvel show on Disney Plus. I do show up a couple of times on the Ted Lasso podcast over there that we did a season 1 rewatch for, called Football is Life. The current episode is episode 9, which I am on, and you can go hear it. It's awesome. Even though I'm on it, it's still a really good show. And the rest of the time, you can find me on Twitter as Verso.
Great. Thank you, Kelly. Last but absolutely not least, Mr. Frank Petrie. Frank, where can folks find you?
I'm going to be guest hosting on Ellen all of next week. You can find me on Screencast Online Magazine. You can go to my website, ympnow.com. I'm on Twitter at fpetrie and on Instagram at PHRANKY.
Great. Thank you, Frank. Good to see you.
Thank you.
Folks, just a quick reminder, we're wrapping the show early tonight so we can go and do a Mac Voices Live with the Mac and Tech user group in Colorado. So if you're so inclined, it's right now 9 o'clock Eastern or 2 minutes after the hour, wherever you are. Wait till 15 after the hour, give or take. We should have the Mac Voices Live feed up again, live with Mac and Tech. So we'd love to have you join us there as well.
Less arguing on that one.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah,
It's early, yeah.
Well, if you're not coming, there definitely will be less arguing.
I won't be able to make it, unfortunately.
Hashtag branding.
Fight me.
I'm all choked up. Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is Mac Voices. We will see you next week, and I'll see you again soon on Mac Voices. Thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with Mac Voices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.